Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie, nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
And part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today. And we're lucky to have Dean at the KFTV studios as a host as well. And I think we're ready to present today's workshop with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be leading today's workshop. As usual, for the last 384 Knowledge Seekers workshops. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever or whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. We welcome you back to another session of learning and teaching, as we are all seekers of the knowledge of the universe. And in one way or another, at different levels, we learn something about it in time. As Rick said, today is the last day, more or less, that the Keshe Foundation TV will operate out of its temporary position. And from next week, Keshe Foundation TV moves to its permanent position in the city of Linz. And from there on, the television channel station within the next month or so will be ready to broadcast live sessions with participants from different parts of the world. We have moved into the new position, and it'll take us some time to open the exhibition first to selected few, and then in the coming weeks to public again. The enhancement unit has been moved to position, and hopefully by the time we open up, there will be much more development. It's a beautiful position. It's a beautiful station. At the same time, exhibition center and the factories of the Keshe Foundation hopefully will be in the same building, and we'll see the growth of the Keshe Foundation technology and space technology within the nation of Austria. We have invested a lot in this organization in Austria, and as the headquarters of the Keshe Foundation, we have attained one of the most prestigious buildings in the city, which literally you cannot miss when you enter the city. It's a well-known site, and it has taken by will of what I call every possible way for it to be part of our what we call upcoming structure. On the other hand, today we're getting ready, and partially we started teaching up in the Keshe Foundation in a manner of preparing mankind for travel into space by June 6, 2022. I'm returning to Iran in the next few days, hopefully with a lot of pleasure, with a team of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers. We have put a team together that when we return to Iran, we present the technology as an international organization. A number of knowledge seekers will join us, and from all corners of the world, which we have invited to join us to be a part of the presentation team of the Keshe Foundation in Tehran. Then at the same time, we endeavor to increase this presentation. Keshe Foundation will take its position as an international organization and leading peace works and everything else. We have assured the authorities and the governments that we have enough knowledge and technology to make sure that humanity will reach Moon and Mars and beyond in 22. In so many ways, is when we reach this point of understanding and technology, we have to understand what we are there to head for, what are we there to see, what is the expectation of us. In a way, we are the ones who've been sitting in the mirror box looking at ourselves, where the people outside have been watching us in this mirror box. It's very much, it's been a one-way mirror for them to see us and not for us to see them, as we were not mature. We mature mankind into understanding of totality of the knowledge of the creation in so many ways in the coming weeks and months. The education center in Tehran will become the center point for many activities. All the Iranian embassies across the planet will become teaching centers, will become where the knowledge will be taught, knowledge of space and technology. In so many ways, we will use the Iranian embassies across the planet to become center of peace, education, space technology, and with it to guarantee knowledge seekers across the planet will have access to the totality of the knowledge at the same time simultaneously, knowing that what we call knowledge seekers will be the scientists, politicians, diplomats, and the rest of the what we call the planet. In so many ways, we have to start opening the door. On the other side of the door, the party has been going on for billions of years. The peaceful nation, happy nation of the universe has been living the life. In a coming time, when we open this door for man to have a peep through, and it'll take him thousands of years to understand it in the physical dimension, what do we expect? What do we see? These are part of the teachings which will take shape or form. We have brought you from nanotechnology to understanding of your matters and energies, to understanding the structure of how you communicate in physical dimension with those who are the physical dimensions of the universe. If you go back to the time of Maleta, they start teaching you the science that you can communicate if you find those who understand the visual understanding. And on the other hand, in this past 4 years, 5 years, we have brought you and educated in the dimension of the soul activity, non-verbal communication, interacting in the dimensions of the fields of the universe not in a matter state. What do we expect to see? What's the expectation of them for us while they've been watching us? How we react? How shall we see? Would we, the first encounters on the levels of the physical dimensions of what you call UFOs, or those who are within us to manifest themselves as us? Or do we, through understanding of the elevation of the soul of the man, we communicate at the soul level with those who have not taken the dimension of physicality and are of higher order? How do we communicate with those who are in a transmutation position between the matter state of their lives and the energy cycles? And like us, as we attain new knowledge, new understanding, they can transmute in a way at the energy level and the matter level. What is the expectation from us? What are we supposed to see? And to what extent, how many of us, or so many of us, will see what? How many of us will become enlightened to be at the strength of the soul that sees the dimension of the energies of the universe communication? And how many of us are at that level of understanding matter state transmutation? Or do we achieve a level of understanding that both sides can see both dimensions? One of the first jobs of the Keshe Foundation in Tehran will be addressing the world leaders in understanding what is to come and demonstrating to them what is expected of them to lead their nations. In a simple way, we address the world leaders to understand what to expect from the new encounters in a proper way. In the past, a number of excursions has taken place with no success because mankind and the world leaders never understood. And when they understood part of it, immediately the entourage, the scientists went to abuse it to give them a better position. Whenever man was given the knowledge, was to spread across humanity for mankind to benefit by it, not for individual and certain groups and families and nations. This way, we will address the world leaders at the same time, that they understand what is to come. In the short time to come, we will run and will have an international heads of nations in Tehran. We will request this from the Iranian leadership to bring this position that world leaders will be invited to Iran to be shown the first phase of interaction of the world leaders with the universal community in different dimensions, where they can prepare their nations, they can prepare their forces, they can prepare the understanding of the whole totality that will change the course. In so many ways, we always, when we invited people to our nations, we showed the best sites, the best sceneries, the best hotels. This time, we show them the best knowledge of the universe. In so many ways, world leaders will come to understand the situation which has risen. Expansion and extension in the knowledge of man in the science and technology brings about the need for unification of interaction, unification of understanding the totality of what man needs to do to reach that point, bringing balance, first of all, the places and what we call the forces of man to be equal in knowledge, in food, and everything else. We envisage a short-term plan internationally between the nations, heads of states, to start planning out how the African nations, the Chinese, the Americans, the Iranians, the Arabs, and the Europeans all become to benefit from the same technology at the same time. That with this allows us to eradicate many of the problems we have created ourselves as human on ourselves. Then the heads of states will be shown and will interact with universal leaders. This is in our plan in 2022. If we achieve unison between the world leaders and what we call on the international level, everything is in plan, everything is in motion, and on our arrival in Tehran, you will understand how the position has changed and how the advancement of technology brought about in Iran will bring the next phase of humanity industrial revolution. In a way, we open the books of the knowledge through the understanding of peace and elevation of the soul of man. It's for mankind and the leaders of the world to decide the next step. I'm due in Tehran in a handful of days. And at the same time, if everything achieved as we plan to achieve by end of this month on my return to Tehran, the first phases of the interaction of the universal community with humanity in the first phase with the Iranian leaders will start. We are there to start the process of world peace. We are there to start the process of what we call unification of man as one race, one planet, one nation. In so many ways, everything for this has been set by the Iranian Keshe Foundation team in the background with the relentless work of those who are there to see that Iran will shine as a nation of peace. At the same time, we open all our nuclear centers to all the world leaders to see. As I said, the sanctions which is imposed on Iran become sanctions on themselves on not learning the new technology. Those who sanction us will sanction themselves from the knowledge and technology. In a way, if they see the nuclear industry as an ultimate advance, it means they have to stay there till they see that the nuclear industry is no advancement, but is another way to understanding the work of the creation and the creator. In so many ways, the path of peace knows no armies. The path of peace will show no resistance to understanding of the new knowledge. Those world leaders who have accumulated the wealth beyond by what we call betraying their nations while they were in power or while they are in power, they will be the first people who will be sent to the moon, to Mars, and to new systems. They saved it, they will spend it in a way of their time in the space. In a way, we do not promote destroying and eliminating those who have done wrong. We let them to be the leaders in the space. Let them see what they accumulated worth nothing, and at the same time, they are a good test bench for all of us to learn what will happen to human race in the space. They will learn to elevate their souls to understand that all the wealth they gathered has no value. At the same time, we make the world leaders who created more mayhem to be those who be the frontier runners into space technology. This is the way where we empty the animosity and hatred. At the same time, we give the man opportunity to understand more of the new technology. What do we do? How do we integrate? How do we interact? How do we live with those amongst us who've been part of the universal community and chose to be here amongst us and taking shape and dimension in our ways? How do we interact? What would be the socio-economical impact on this planet? Would we see the changes that will bring radical evolution in the society? Would we see that the nation's borders become irrelevant? Would we see that the armies which created to guard these borders become the armies of the nations to serve each other? Would we see humanity taking a new position? Today's teaching is mainly the interaction of the human race at the outset of the opening and prior to opening of the what we call passages and avenues to universal community. The reason for this is as we return to Iran, this will be on our agenda, bringing a new technology to the forehead, to the front line, and at the same time moving the whole of the Iranian scientists and government and the new elected government in Iran by tomorrow into leading the nations to peace, to new understanding of science and technology. How do our leaders react, and how do knowledge seekers and the humanity will react when within coming weeks and months you are faced with those who you thought are humans, but they are friends and they are here. They dressed up like us to be part of us, to enjoy the presence of the physicality. You're the knowledge seekers. You are well trained. You're well understood. Think for yourself. What happened when now you have the new tools which will be open to you, and you see your neighbors, man on the street, the guy who delivered you electricity and the man who delivered your takeaway is not of the human race. What will your reaction be? You stand there puzzled, or would you stand admiring their beauty? When they know they're safe within the human race. When we go to space and we feel we are safe amongst them, do we see them as another food? Do we see them as another friend? Or would be factions in the human race that do not want to exploit this for their own benefit? You have to understand, we do not this time fight with guns and anything else. We interact with the soul of the man, which interacts with the brain of the man. In so many ways, what is your reaction? What happened to the man you lived with for years, or the woman you loved for so long, happened to be another one of them? What would be your feeling? What would be your interaction? What is your senses tells you? Would you accept them and embrace them? Or you feel, I was so inferior for such a long time, and he or she or the friend who I loved so much never told me they could see everything within me, but they said nothing about it. This will raise a lot of questions for humanity in the coming time. As humans, we'll question our own integrity. As humans, we will decide on the future of our lives, that those who we loved and we felt and we betrayed, or we loved and we kept, they were aware of all our emotions to our soul all the time. And through their grace, they kept silence. What would be the reaction of the human race when some of the world leaders in the what we call presidential palaces have been served by those who are not of the human race, but they never interfered? We are here as observers, not as interferers. We are here to live amongst man, to lead the man to succeed in his own path. How would we feel when some of our leaders find out that their partners, their ministers, the wives of their ministers, the head of armies, families have been part of the universal community and never interfered, but could see their emotion and could see their behavior through their soul? Then you understand how tolerant universal community has been for man to change in time. Many of you will try to justify. Many of you will try to understand the soul and the emotion. Many of you will try to be comprehensive about what you have done and what we do. Many of you who are of the origin of what we call universal community wonder how mankind will interact and react with you now that they understand who you are. In so many ways, as I travel the path of the deserts, the Saharas, and the mountains of this land for thousands of years, I've been witness to all these changes and seen many friends from the space being the same travelers, but they choose the path of the man. how would you react? How would you change your communication? Now that we bring the advanced technologies that makes you to see the other dimensions of the life in the universe, how would you react? We give you a vision to your dimension of your sight or soul. Which one do you recognize and which one would you believe? The spoken word of the physicality or the notion of understanding the thoughts of the soul? In the transmutation, you'll be aware of the two. You shall see what the soul says, and you shall see what the voice of the man says, and how the physicality will be. Which one would you set your position for and to be with? In so many ways, mankind has to be ready for one of the biggest changes in the cycle of humanity. Mankind has to be ready to understand what he has done to himself and to the others amongst him and amongst his society without interfering, and is still living the life, a passive life, where mankind starts to understand what is all this for. In so many ways, today's teaching is about you. Today's teaching is about every individual and every one of you to understand yourselves. In a way, is to understand how you will react in a coming time when you become passengers of the universe, or you will come to face in the dimension of physicality, in the dimension of the soul, with the passengers of the universe. What would be the outcome? Are they delicious to eat, or are they beautiful to greet? This is part of the understanding we try to promote in the coming months, that we prepare mankind as a whole to be ready for the first open encounters with the universal community. We do not want to make a circus of ourselves or them, but we want to make a circle that we are all included within it. We have to look within to understand what we have missed without. In so many ways, mankind is ready for the final encounter. Mankind is ready for final encounter with his own soul, and with it, a new insight to the cycle of creation. The cycle of understanding the totality of the work of what we call creator. As I said, many of you and those who are from the deepest space and the universal community, Mitra is amongst us. And that has triggered the final phase of peace, not only on this planet, but amongst all the created things in the universe. In a way, as we say, the carbon is a common denominator within the structure of the man. Carbon of the creator's level of energy becomes a common denominator, messenger to all is created, that they move in the same dimension and direction. In so many ways, mankind has entered the final phase, where C12 and C14 work the same across. It's for man to decide which dimension he will take and which strength. You want to operate in the dimension of physicality, or you want to operate in the dimension of the energy fields of the soul of the universe. In so many ways, in past years, in bits and parts, in different ways, I have tried to teach you everything. And in so many ways, with understanding of the new technology, the old technologies becomes part of the understanding in the matter state when the man become the passengers of the universe. No race has been more physical than man. No race has been more involved with its own physicality than that. And then when you come in the depths of the universe, you come to the position of the interaction of the fields to become manifest in the matter states of the fields of the presence of the time and the space. You still will carry the memories that you learned from the physical dimension, from the time on earth, even be it from your ancestors. You will recall through the soul of the physicality the knowledge. And this knowledge will be valuable to you and those who you come in touch with. In a way, you all will understand. And in the time and position, you become what we call to the level of the prophets who could see the physical understanding, but could not tell. But this time, through your physical understanding, you will tell, you will teach, and you bring the knowledge both of the physicality and the soul to those who you become the teacher of. The future of mankind is not just to be the souls to become the center suns and the stars, but they become the soul of the teachers through those stars and those conditions. But those who are in evolution and the cycle of the elevation from physicality to soul, and to understand more. You have to understand, we said many times before, mankind is not the last created kind. Due to evolution and interaction of the fields of the universe, forever a new cycle of lives will be created from single cell, single energy packs into multiple cycles of life. What impression your soul and the knowledge of physicality of the earth will make on those who you come in touch with, at what level, and in what message will you carry now that you have seen the pitfalls of war, destruction, and love and care as a human being, be it by you yourself or through the dimension of the soul of the physicality. In so many ways, the soul of the messengers of the future of the universe, as the soul of the man embedded in, would take to them to elevate them, to bring them through, and not let the race to be nomads like man for millions of years on this planet. In so many ways, what does your knowledge teach us? And how much can you transmute and transform with you, amongst you, and in the dimension of understanding of yourself? We taught you how to communicate with those who are physical dimensions. But now, how do you communicate with those who are in the level of the energy, in the dimension of the strength of the soul? What is the outcome? How you will handle it? What would be interesting for us, how would the heads of states coming to Tehran will consider their position before arrival? Or how many of them will turn up knowing that the position has come to an end? Knowing that there will be a collective leadership and not individual leadership. Understanding that the process of the enhancement of the soul of the man will be the step for the totality, not the crowns, not the presidential palaces, and not the name. In the coming weeks, as we teach much more in depth, as we will show new tools and equipments that the man through his physicality can create and understand the position of his soul and the extension of his soul, what would mankind do? What is interesting is who would like to be the first people who travel through the dimension of the soul across the universe, across this universe, all the universe. We expect the world leaders and those who call themselves king to put their crown down and leave their palaces. And in so many ways, mankind to become as of one. We have endeavored to do this several times, but never succeeded because the dimension of physicality did not allow the soul, which is entrapped within it, to take hold. But this time is the reverse. Proper work of the unified leadership through Universal Council will replace the United Nations has failed miserably. The work of Keshe Foundation operation through what we call one common denominator will replace the World Bank and the rest which has been set to engage and enslave man. New structures will be set that mankind will be released of the shackles of the present time. We'll release technologies that will release dimensions of the energy fields directly needed for every need of man. We have released the first phase of the 100% free plasma technology to the Iranian scientists that was presented in a way to the Iranian authorities in the past week. We will release energy systems that replaces the new nuclear technology of Iran with a new plasma technology. In so many ways, I explained this to you many times in the past, that in Accra, we achieved 100% power supply. Now, the same technology has been transferred to the Iranian scientists in the past week and will be used by the Iranian scientists to produce 100% energy powers of the Iran. And with it, we show we have no need for nuclear industry. And the first phase of the world peace will start. We have to go this way, that step by step we bring the nations into power of understanding the reality about plasma technology that is the essence of the creation of the soul of the man. You cannot jump between the matter state and the plasma. As I said, the power supplies, structure of the new power supplies to supply energy across this planet for every single man has been developed and will be released in due course through the educational systems which we have set up. You always had it. You always had a technology to work within the structure of the soul of the man. To be able to transmute energies, you have to work with the structure of the plasma and not matter states, what you call electric current. In this process, mankind will transfer one to the other and transmute from one to another. But the main question of the teaching of today is, how would you react to those who will become manifest to you in the coming weeks and months as not a human, but of the passengers of the universe who have taken our ship? How would we understand? How would we see? How would we enjoy them? What is your reaction to them? This is the main concern for us in not allowing the second cycle of mayhem through introduction of new technology and the new vision and understanding of realizing the presence of the others amongst us. We have seen in the human race In the United States, in the past few months, the color of the skin has become a scapegoat to suffocate and die. We've seen in the United Kingdom, racism of the color of the skin and nationality has become another. We have seen in the United States, being a Chinese, a nation origin, now has become a crime, as they created the crime themselves. We have seen people from Myanmar crossing borders because of the way of belief. How would our leaders and us as individuals react to the new cycle of understanding and seeing how the universal community? Would we respect them to understand the same as the knowledge of our soul, or do them to show us how they can fly and do other things in physical dimension? We become subordinate, which was the whole purpose of these teachings, not to have a few shining lights in the sky does not give superiority to knowledge and technology. And understanding part of this does not give you superiority to the others. What would be your reaction? It's time to think and decide in the coming times as we release new technologies that allows mankind to become aware of the strength of his soul, and at the same time gives the man the vision to see those who is amongst them. As I said many times, our planet is like a football team of hooligans which runs through a city, creating mayhem when it's only in that city, in that village. Our planet Earth is a moving structure across the city of the universe. We travel across the solar system, and we travel across this galaxy within our solar system. And we are like a bunch of uncontrollable hooligans who have done whatever they like, while the rest outside have been watching with their cameras. What are these bunch of hooligans are up to? In so many ways, would you like to be known as a bunch of hooligans? Or do you see yourself as one? In behavior and in soul? What would be the response of humanity now that the doors of this castle of earth, of ignorance, of knowledge, will be open to understand the knowledge of the universe? Would our religious leaders still claim to be, or would our world leaders claim to have, and would those who call themselves king are the king of what I call ignorance? Why should one man be higher than the other? Why should one being be higher than that? When you know, in the essence of the soul, we have access to all the knowledge of the creation through understanding and operation of the fields of the universe. I waited a long time to bring this on the table prior to our move to Tehran and the start of the world peace negotiations with the other nations through science and technology. There was no better nation than Iran to lead this, as has been under sanction for knowledge. Knowledge in exchange for peace is a prerequisite of Iranian operation and throughout our embassies across this planet in the coming weeks. We call not on individuals, but the totality of human race to understand the new game. There is no sign language to show, only understanding the operation of the soul of the mind. Only the totality of the knowledge which has been given to man and man has chosen to ignore. The fine balance between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man, that each one can have his turn as he wishes. An end to the cycle of a schizophrenic life of the man, which has created such a, what we call, active creature to cover the earth, to cover the existence of the soul within. The physicality has become that hyperactive child that no one will know what's hidden within. It is the responsibility of the world leaders in the coming time to lead the nations and to lead the humanity to the path of peace and understanding of unification of the leadership of this planet through understanding the soul of the man. We shall see in the coming time the fall of many crowns, and many religious leaders will submit to the knowledge of the Creator, as they cannot be a messenger when the Creator is present by himself. In so many ways, man will understand the knowledge of the Creator and his presence through his knowledge and through his understanding of the creation and the Creator. And the question goes back on again. How would you react when you have been given a new vision to see a new dimension? Do you know how to deal with it? Or would you like the new, what I call moving cameras on the glasses? When you play games, you think it's so real that you fall off the table and chair without knowing that there's actually nothing there but the mirage of the videos and films. In so many ways, mankind has to become wise and become aware of the existence of his own beauty of two dimensions of physicality and the soul. An interaction between one and the other, where the physicality takes its energies from the soul, and on the other hand, gives a dimension of physicality for the soul to gain knowledge of the universe at the time of presence of physicality. That was the purpose of creating the physical dimension, to enjoy and learn another dimension, to be the master of two. There is still more for mankind to learn. It's not just only the dimension of the soul and the dimension of the soul of physicality. There are other dimensions of life, which one man's become mature will be taught and understand through operation of the universal community. The soul of the man, the existence of the soul of physicality is 2 of the 7. How would mankind handle the others as it arises? In so many ways, the whole knowledge of existence will be shared amongst the man equal, but it's the man who will decide the level of understanding and comprehension of totality. In so many ways, we give access to every knowledge possible. It's you who has to understand which access, which path leads you to where and for what purpose. As I've said in the past, when we put dust of iron on piece of paper and we see how the fields of this iron will take shape. And in so many ways, what gradients each one has to the other. In so many ways, mankind will see a two-dimensional life where he will create the totality, where he will understand the reality in dimensions which he decides in a coming time and space. Where this, if you understand the rest of it, would lead to the Father, where in fact he came from the Mother, where of the higher strength will lead to the Creator, where he came through the created. This will become the cornerstone of the knowledge of the man. And then, through the strength of the soul, you have to decide which path you want to take. Or have you managed to reach the point of the elevation that you could live amongst any? But you've got to be aware that one thing will surely exist in totality. There's always two. As you manifest as a giver, you still take. As you manifest as a taker, you're still giving. As one is the beginning of the other, and the other is the beginning of one. Mankind has to understand the new evolution in the world of science. A new change. Transformation from matter state and physicality to understanding of the energies of universe without physicality, but in the dimension of the strength of the soul and the fields of the creation. What would your reaction be? What would be your cycle of life be? Would mankind create the next generation to be subordinate to the knowledge of the universe? Or would mankind create the next generation to be equal to the knowledge of the universe? Would we put our children through schools to teach them about one and twos and ions and Christianity and Judaism? Or would we teach our children of the future through the soul that all is the same and all equal, depend on what you want to use and in what direction? In my return to Iran, we'll take the Iranian nation to the time of Ahura Mazda and Mitra, where the essence of the creation came and we were proud to be all the same, in respect of color and race. In so many ways, mankind has to learn the Creator is within us, and understanding of it is our job and not somebody else's to explain. We have to go through these ways. That as we give you a new vision through new understanding and technologies, everyone you see does not become a prophet, a messenger, another structure that you think just because they know more, they can subordinate you to their will. And this is the purpose of these teachings, as we said from the very outset of all the teachings. To take mankind to be equal to the others, not by sending you to the universities of the universe, but teaching you how you've been structured and how your life has existed. That is part of this totality. The time of peace has started. And the time of bringing the nations to be one will start upon my return to Tehran. We go back to the land of Mitra and Romance, and we bring the 3 points together. We will talk good, we will think good, we will act good. We will teach this to all the nations on this planet. Through the share of technology, irrespective of the color or race, as the religions will have no room, as they all confirm to be the same. In so many ways, mankind is ready for that final crossing the line. And on accepting that, the knowledge of the universe will be open to man in one go. Knowledge of giving and sharing will take precedence over the knowledge of killing and what we call exclusivity. This is how we will open the door of knowledge. And as knowledge seekers, you will carry the same across your nations. In so many ways, the world peace is part of the piece of the work which we set out to do. And we have achieved, and we are on our target to achieve. I think, and I hope, I have managed to convey the message what is to come in the coming weeks from beautiful city of Tehran. In so many ways, every city on this land will become beautiful as we all share equal. There shall be no hunger, and there shall be no homelessness. There shall be no sick people to be abused by their name and the name of the virus. In so many ways, the new technology will teach the soul of the man that the physicality is protected by it, and like the atmosphere around this planet, shields it from everything to come, but at the same time absorbs all the beauty of the universe to create the physicality of this planet by conversion of this energy to the matter state as we see. The question goes back to every single one of you. What would be your reaction? Or would you go to the level of the soul that the dimension of the reaction of physicality will not count, as you'll be ashamed of what you have done to yourselves and to the others in the dimension of physicality? Is the friend across the road from other dimension of the universe that has seen all my wrongdoings and is kept to his own silence? Not out of pity, but out of the shame to tell what the man has done to himself. In so many ways, we sow the seed of thoughts of getting ready for humanity to enter the universal community as of today's teaching. The first tentative steps will be taken. As I said, those world leaders who take the step to walk in the path of the peace and unification of human race shall be introduced to universal community. that through their support and understanding, the nations will be supported to find peace nation, one nation, and balance for all is created. It's the time where the science of the created becomes secondary to the science of the created. And in a way, we take charge of our own destiny in the dimension of the life in the universe and not on this planet. Unfortunately, we have no machines for this, and unfortunately, there are no schools I can send you to, and no special teachings in the Keshe Foundation Space Institute for you to learn. You have to learn to go within your soul, to go within and find the knowledge of the Creator. Thank you very much. You are tuned in the background, are ready to go for a break. And we'll come back to see how we share knowledge with each other and what we understand from today's teaching. In a way, the path for evolution of the science and technology and peace, it starts from today. Within your soul, with understanding of it, and with those who think they might understand it. But in the coming time, the whole process will be transparent to all as we take steps in Tehran to bring mankind to that point of what we call unification in universal community while they're amongst us. Would you like to go to a break and we come back?